What you're looking at right here is Tales and Tactics, a brand new single-player auto-battler from Table 9 Studios. A game that looks to boil all that good stuff from Autochess, Teamfight tactics and Underlords and simmer them into one delicious roguelike stew. This game will probably tick a lot of boxes for some of you. Some might be checking out the Steam page right now, licking your lips and ready to tuck in. But don't. Hold off, wait a minute, and let me tell you whether this right here is all it's promising to be and whether it's worth your time and hard-earned money. So what is this game, and what, where and why is an auto-battler? For those of you who've missed the hype train a few years ago, I'll keep this short and sweet. Basically, the premise revolves around picking up units, each belonging to certain types. Getting multiples of the same type will give you bonuses, you'll build a roster, arrange them on the board and face off against an opponent. And this is where the action starts, right? Well, no, the game does the fighting for you. As soon as the round starts, your team's fate is out of your hands and at the mercy of the RNG gods. To an extent, anyway. The strategy comes in the way that you build your team, where you place them on the board, and what items you equip them with. That's the basic premise of the genre, and Tales and Tactics. Rather than the typical PvP approach which you might find in your Autochesses and your Teamfight tactics, Tales and Tactics takes a different approach. Instead, you'll go through a series of levels with increasingly difficult fights, with each region ending in a boss and the run ending in a grand tournament. You'll encounter random events, amass and equip your own personal entourage of monsters, and unlock new features in between runs to keep everything feeling interesting.
I would say if you like games where you collect stuff and you use that stuff to do cool stuff, you're gonna love Tales and Tactics.
I mean, everyone loves tinkering. I'm a big deck builder fan. I think we all are. And so, I mean, even in Magic the Gathering, I'm a big fan of, let's make this terrible card that no one uses, let's make it great. What key cards can I possibly put together with this to make it at all useful? And you lose a lot, but it's still fun. And end up with you making something that you haven't seen before.
It's made by Table 9 Studios, a teeny tiny little company founded by two brothers, aided only by a handful of developers. Now that name may sound familiar to any Slay the Spire fans, as it was these folks who made the frankly excellent fan-made expansion, Downfall. This was a great addition to the game because they thought outside the box, and that's something they clearly want to bring to the table with Tales and Tactics. They aren't the first to come along and make an auto-battler single player, but while the other titles on the market may have taken a few steps off the beaten path to make the concept work in a new format, this is looking to keep that same feeling that makes the multiplayer offerings so addictive.
Look at my healers! Come on, healer! Yes! Oh no! Please! Sanctus! No, Sanctus! Oh, that was only his first HP bar!
Oh, we had 2 HP bars!
Oh my god, we were so close!
Oh god!
Oh my god, we were so close!
Despite it being its very first public offering, there's a lot packed in. Loads of levels, a variety of bosses, plenty of tribes to experiment with, and an array of items to tweak your warband. There's story segments, little D&D styled events complete with dice rolls and skill checks, and even a healthy dose of meta progression. It's pretty common in early access for roguelikes to offer up the first few levels and have a player wait till later in development to fight the real big bad, but this feels ultimately pretty complete. All the core concepts seem like they're there. Granted, some more will almost certainly get added during its early access, but it doesn't feel like there's any gaping hole with something obvious being missed. Now, I'm not saying the game is finished, absolutely not, but there's still a lot that I wished was a bit different. Here's some issues that I noticed. The UI felt a bit cluttered, fights were a bit hard to follow at times, some of the units and items could do with a balance pass. But these are all little things, none of them distract you from the fact that this feels like a full game, it just needs a little bit of polishing. One thing that could do with some work is progression. All in all, I think it's well done. Unlike typical roguelites that make you stronger between runs, the bonuses in this come with a caveat. You unlock a new feature, but you start with fewer XP points. You unlock a new item type, but so too do your opponents. It keeps it interesting. You aren't just making the game easier between runs, you're just making it different. And that's all great, but my issue is that despite these difficulty additions, once you've got a handle on the game, there's not much pushing you higher. No ramping difficulty curve or tiered hard mode, though this is a pretty common feature in these type of games. I wouldn't be too surprised if that gets added a little down the line. That's not to say there's nothing drawing you back in. There's different strategies to try, new characters to play as, and even the ability to draft your own character to try some wildcard tactics, which, as a concept, I think is great. Plays great too. There's also achievements right off the back, and I'm a simple guy, I like to hunt down those achievements, yet another reason to keep coming back. Replayability is always make or break for anything in the roguelike genre or adjacent, and this offers a lot. and a few extra additions down the line will only strengthen that. But how does it play as an auto-battler? That's the burning question. Well, let me give you some context. I played Autochess, loved it, became hooked. I played TFT, loved it even more, and then I played Underlords and loved it the most. More than Valve did, apparently, given they, gave up on it and all. I still had an itch to play other auto-battlers, and whilst I'd come across a few on Steam, they didn't quite scratch that itch. They did some great things, but they seemed like they tried to separate themselves a bit from the original premise. This, on the other hand, feels familiar. You've got different tiers of tribes, the combined 3 units mechanic, and an upgrading shop that you can waste all your gold on re-rolling. I feel that same feeling of discovery and excitement I got from playing the titles, but I can take this at my own pace. It just seems to tick a lot of boxes. Even visually, I think it looks great. I wasn't on board with the art style at first, but it's really grown on me. The whole 3D character models and the 3D game board makes it feel premium, and it'll feel even more premium-er when the dev upgrades the game to run on Unreal Engine 5. Now, this does come with some issues. Users have reported some performance troubles, and it's a resource-hungrier game than it perhaps should be. But the developers have been pretty quick to address these issues, which brings me confidence in another important thing about this game, its future. So this is early access. The game isn't finished, but of course, you know that. That's the premise of this whole video. So what can we expect between now and when the game reaches its 1.0 status? If only there was some sort of map of the road ahead. Well, there is. Here's the roadmap. And it's pretty clear to see where the devs' aims are. New levels, more perks, additional unlocks, fresh characters to play as, a few overhauls, some cosmetic implementations. All that translates to more variety, which is excellent. I felt like each run posed a new challenge, and it was varied enough to keep me coming back, so more of that is only a good thing. The devs have done something else that I personally really love. So this graphic is all great and all, but for those players really wanting to know what's what, the creators have shared a public Trello board with all their future plans. Now, maybe it's just because I have a weird attraction to productivity software, but I love this approach. It's open, it's honest, and it gets updated as items get checked off. It's a peek behind the curtain. You're watching how the sausage is being made. There's always that worry of being left in the dark when a game is in early access, and in the worst case scenarios, the game might get abandoned with players wondering what the hell is actually going on. Kind of like Underlords. But with this, coupled with the developers being responsive and open on the public Discord, it just instills faith, makes a player feel like their impact is valid and appreciated. And who doesn't like that? From the looks of things, players shouldn't be worried about too long an early access grind, with the devs saying they're looking to push the game to full release early next year. A 6-month early access cycle is pretty quick, but then again, it's already in a state that's further along than most titles at this point. I feel pretty confident that this roadmap is accurate and that they can turn this around in the targeted timeframe. Now, before I reach my final verdict, I just want to address the elephant in the room, the price. So it is listed at €17.50. It was marked down 20% to $13.99 on launch, and if it's going to see more sales before 1.0, there'll probably be somewhere close to there. That equates to £11.99, $14.39, or $18.79 cool Canadian dollars. Is it worth it? Is this game worth the risk, or are you better off stepping back and watching from a distance? No messing around here, buy it. It's excellent. And yes, there's a pretty big but here, this game isn't for everyone. This genre can be pretty divisive, and I can't promise that you'll love it. Auto-battlers were a big craze for a while, but for a lot of people, they just didn't click. If you like the sound of the game but haven't played an auto-battler before, I'd recommend trying one of the free ones first, TFT or Autochess. See if you vibe with them. See if they awaken some sort of mathematician slash tactician, mathematician, if you will, deep from within inside. If you don't like the genre, you probably won't like this, but that's assuming you don't know the genre. What about all you veteran auto-battlers? Well, if you get sucked in by Autochess, addicted to TFT, or still pining for Underlords like a lovelorn widower, I have a really strong feeling you'll thoroughly enjoy this. As I've said, it feels like it's in a good state. All of its pieces are there. What's next is just building up the good bits even further. I think this has a bright future ahead of it, and I'm excited to see where the devs take it next. There's even mention of some sort of multiplayer style mode, which could be exciting. Not like your standard PvP style thing, but I think if they went down the route of Monster Train, it could work great. That is, different players all sharing a seed and seeing who can get the furthest. Tie that in with a run that culminates in a battle between players, and I think you've got a multiplayer mode that still feels like a single player experience. There's a lot of ways they could take it. They could add in more tribes to try, more items, increase the unit limit, come up with new units, mechanics, opponents, or characters. Given that it's a single player, there's no worry about a meta taking over or something being overpowered. I just want that OP stuff. Make it crazy, do wild things. It's a really solid auto-battler, but with some time and love, it could well be just a really solid roguelike all round. Its biggest hurdle is its complexity, turning people off straight away. And yeah, it's an information overload if you're new to the genre. If it can lessen the initial curve to be more inviting while still maintaining a deep and complex strategic experience, this could be huge. It could be like what Slay the Spire was to card games. So there we go, a big recommendation from me, albeit with a bit of fine print. If this has caught your eye but you're holding off because it's in early access, I'd say jump right in. If you've given it a go, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Or if you've tried it and it just didn't click with you, let's hear your honest thoughts. Your words could well save someone $14.39. That's almost enough to buy half an armor set in Diablo 4. Once again, this is Tales and Tactics from Table 9 Studios, available now in early access.